The rose is a singular example of a natural form that has been included in the symbolism of many cultures and religions throughout the centuries. This flower has been intricately connected to our ideas of love and beauty, and as such has enjoyed an association with several goddesses and gods. The sweet aroma of roses is something we all enjoy. However, when the aroma fills the air without an explainable cause, beware. There may be demons at work. Hey everybody, this is Mike with On Point Preparedness. I want to share an absolutely fascinating story of what I believe to be demonic deception. Doug Gonzalez, who was a Church of Nazarene pastor, wrote the book Steps of Grace. It is his testimony of conversion from non-Catholic Christianity to Catholicism, and how he now views Catholicism as the one true religion of all Christianity. What I found so fascinating about this story is that he was raised by his elders to understand the vast majority of pagan infiltrations into the Catholic Church, as seen here. He displays an acute understanding of pagan symbols and how history had integrated them into Catholicism. Yet, despite all this knowledge, one day he found himself down on his knees, crying before Mary at a Catholic abbey. While reading this story, I tried to remain unbiased. I had even questioned whether I had been so infatuated with pagan integration into Roman Catholicism that even I was not seeing the truth. I mean, here we have a highly educated pastor who, by all accounts, was sincerely begging God to give him answers, and the signs and wonders that appeared led him to Catholicism. However, after I investigated the two main catalysts that drove him to Catholicism, I found that he had been deceived. Before we begin, this is not an attack on Doug Gonzalez. Rather, it is to show you all how subtly demons can portray themselves as angels of light. Do pray for Doug Gonzalez as we go through this lesson. In the following scene, Doug is taking a 3-day visit to a Catholic abbey against the wishes of his family. While there, he is begging God for a sign, but does not receive one. He ends up getting angered with God that no sign is given and curses him as his 3-day visit is running short. I believe it is in this moment of susceptibility and weakness that Doug allows one of Lucifer's servants to seize upon the opportunity and deceive him. Let's have a listen.
And I began to get angry with God, and I'm like, look, you opened the Red Sea, and you raised people from the dead, do something, show me a sign. And your mind just starts to get really panicked, and I'm like, make her blink an eye, make her move a finger, do something. Well, that night, the monk said, look, we want you to meet this woman who will be here for Mass. She has a healing ministry. So she said, well, let's go into my office and talk. I said, well, can we go into this room? This is kind of my room. So we go in there and we're talking, and we're sitting quite a ways away, probably about 20 feet, catty corner. And while she's talking, and I'm telling her my story, and I'm bawling again, and I smell this smell of roses. And, oh yeah, see, you all know what it means. I didn't know what it meant. And I thought she had
Catholics watching.
Yeah, the Catholics are all like, oh yeah. And
we may have to explain to our non-Catholic audience the issue of roses.
Oh, don't
we'll
you
get there
worry.
later.
Yeah,
we'll get there later.
Yeah. So the whole room is filled with the smell of roses, and I'm thinking, man, this woman's got way too much perfume on. I mean, she must have bathed in it. And so, so I'm thinking, okay, she has a healing ministry. She's got too much perfume on. And she says, oh, the roses, I smell the roses. Don't you smell the roses? And I said, no. And while we were standing there getting ready to leave, the whole room was filled again with the smell of roses. And she says, oh, the roses, I said, the roses, don't you smell the roses? And I said, no, I don't. But I knew I was in trouble, so I thought, well, you know, I'll stop by the mall and I'll get some perfume for my wife, and maybe that'll make things a little better. And I said, no, I don't smell the roses, but I smell your perfume. Can you tell me what you're wearing? And she says, oh, the abbot doesn't let me wear perfume. And it was like, donk. I mean, you know, you've heard people say my chin hit the floor. And I was just amazed that knowing what I had said, you know, that the Blessed Mother would do that.
Yeah.
Mary worship is one of the most controversial aspects for Christians looking into Roman Catholicism. As Doug states in his book, this was one of his largest hurdles as well. However, the miracle of the rose aroma was pivotal in his journey of acceptance. Mary worship has deep roots in pagan tradition dating back to Semiramis, the wife of Nimrod. Nimrod, Semiramis, and their illegitimate son Tammuz were viewed as a religious false trinity during the time of Babylon after the flood of Noah. When God saw the tower that they built, the Tower of Babel, he said, "Behold, they are one people and they have one language, and this is only the beginning of what they will do. Come, let us go down there and confuse their language, so that they may not understand one another's speech." So therefore you see, the goddess Semiramis proliferated into several different names, likely from the fact that the entire world's language was confused. She took on names of Isis, Venus, Ishtar, among many others. However, the symbol of a woman holding an infant persisted throughout the religions and cultures. It represented a queen of heaven and the virgin birth of a male savior. Now, what you may not know is that the roses or scent of roses is found in many of the various goddesses formed from Semiramis. In fact, one of the ancient wonders of the world, which has yet to still be physically discovered, is called the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. It's also known as the Hanging Gardens of Semiramis. Legend has it that these legendary gardens were either built by Semiramis or Nebuchadnezzar II. However, subtle clues about Semiramis lead some to believe that she was the source of its construction. Many of the goddess names that spawned from Semiramis have an affinity to the rose and its aroma. As shown in Homer, the Iliad, Venus, another name for Semiramis, anoints individuals with roses. In the Epic of Ishtar, also another name for Semiramis, it talks about the beauty of roses and its fragrance. But there is one goddess who has a profoundly deep connection to the rose, and that is Isis. Again, also a derivative of Semiramis. The only ancient Roman novel in Latin to survive in its entirety is titled The Transformation of Lucius. Lucius is a narrator of the book and eventually finds salvation through Isis. When Isis is speaking to Lucius, she says, "I shall order the high priest to carry a garland of roses in my procession." So as I've shown you, there's an abundance of information on how Mary has been elevated to the status of a goddess by the Vatican. What I was not sure about was whether the symbol and aroma of a rose was specifically attributed to Mary. Now, what I found and shared with you today was incredibly easy to obtain, and what that means to me is the rose and its aroma is profoundly linked to pagan and occult practices dating all the way back to the Hanging Gardens of Semiramis. And I believe this is yet another one of Lucifer's tricks that played against Doug Gonzalez. The second aspect that helped Doug convert was some of the teachings by a person named Dr. Hahn that claimed Mary is the new Ark of the Covenant. And it also has ties to the Lady of Fatima miracle. I'm going to be covering all of that in my next video. So until then, this is Mike with On Point Preparedness.